APT.
Yeah. I'm going in.
We are live at the White House. Things are cranking. Take a look at the protesters. Yes. Beautiful. So much. I believe it's about Africa. Yes. Africa and I believe one other country. But let's pan back to me in the White House. Yes, here we go. Let's talk about the White House just a little bit real quick. The main job is to carry out the enforced laws of the legislative branch. The current vice president is Joseph Biden and Barack Obama. The job of the Electoral College is to elect the president and the vice president. The power of the executive branch is vested in the president and the vice president, the president of the United States, who acts as the head, not as beautiful as mine, but the head of the government. He is the commander-in-chief.
The Constitution only lists these qualifications by the president. The president must be 35 years of age, be a natural-born citizen, and must have lived in the United States for at least 14 years. We are live here. These protesters are practicing their constitutional rights.
The cabinet is an advisory body made up of the heads of 50 executive departments, appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. The members of the cabinet are the president's closest confidants. The 15 departments are of agriculture, commerce, defense, education, and energy, health and human services, home and security, housing and urban development, interior, justice, labor, state, transportation, treasury, and veteran affairs.
This has been a broadcast from AVA News, reporting here to you live at the White House, the executive branch.
We're here at the Supreme Court, the meeting place for the judicial branch. The members of the judicial branch are chosen by the president and confirmed by the Senate. There are 9 justices, 1 chief justice, and 8 associate justices. The judicial branch checks the legislative branch because it can determine the meaning of laws and can determine a law unconstitutional. And it checks the executive branch because it can declare presidential acts unconstitutional and judges are free from presidential control.
We're at the United States Capitol right now. The United States Capitol is where the House of Representatives and the Senate meets. Those two bodies form the Congress of this country, the United States of America. This legislative branch. They make laws, and they can declare war. And they're the only branch that can. The House of Representatives is made up of 435 members, and each state has its representation in proportion to its population, while the Senate has its number of representatives or senators. Well, always 2. Every state gets 2 senators, and they're all elected. Every 2 years, new members of the House of Representatives are elected. You have to be at least 25 years old to be a representative in the House, and you have to be a resident of the state that you represent. And every 6 years, they elect new senators. To be a senator, you have to be at least 30 years old, and like being in the House, you have to live in the state that you represent. And you have to be a U.S. citizen for at least 9 years. The legislative branch checks on the executive branch by being able to impeach the president and being able to override his vetoes, his or her vetoes, I should say. And they check on the judicial branch by having the power to establish lower federal courts, being able to impeach judges, and being able to reject a president's appointment of a Supreme Court judge.
Only thing that's on my mind is who's gonna run this town tonight.
In the executive branch of Junior Island, there are 2 presidents, one for each party. To be the president, you have to be at least 30 years of age, and you have to have been a citizen for at least 10 years, but you don't have to be a natural citizen. One presidential term is 3 years, and you can serve a maximum of 2 terms. Each president has its own cabinet, but there's only one vice president. Their president is elected by popular vote, and there's no electoral college. Both presidents have to come to an agreement on all executive decisions, and if they can't come to an agreement, then the Senate will make the final decision.
We are, yeah, I said it, we are. This is Rock Nation. Pledge your allegiance. Get your petite.
And I'm doing the legislative branch of Junior Island. Our government is made of just the Senate. There are no House of Representatives because this country does not have any states. It's just made up of 5 provinces. The Senate is made up of 25 senators, 5 senators for each province. In order to be a senator, you must be 1, elected by the people in each province, have to be at least 25 years old, have to have a 2-year term, and last but not least, you have to be a citizen for 6 years.
The judicial branch of Junior Island has 5 high courts, 1 in each province. The presidents appoint the judges of each court. Their job in each province is like that of the Supreme Court in the United States. They delegate on big trials and big cases that smaller courts can't handle. They have similar powers. They can declare the acts of the executive or legislative branches unconstitutional. And the qualifications for being one of the highest judges in the courts, there's only one qualification. You have to have 15 years of law experience, and then the presidents can appoint you from there.
I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
In the Bill of Rights for Junior Island, the First Amendment is freedom of speech, press, assembly, and the right to petition. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. The Third Amendment is right to a public trial by jury. The Fourth Amendment is freedom from excessive bail and cruel and unusual punishment. Like, we don't practice the death penalty and torturing and all that kind of stuff. The Fifth Amendment is freedom of religion. The Sixth Amendment is the freedom to marry whichever partner you choose, regardless of gender. The Seventh Amendment is protection from unreasonable search and seizure. The Eighth is protection from quartering troops. The Ninth Amendment is freedom from double jeopardy and self-incrimination. Like, you can't be tried for the same crime twice, and you can't be held as a witness to your own crime. And finally, the 10th Amendment is the protection of rights not stated in the Constitution.